Welcome back to the FOLIO Media Studio at the AI and Crypto Conference for Real Estate Agent Pros. It's a great honor to have Colin McMahon here with me today.
Thank you.
He is a senior originator at Milo, the pioneer in crypto mortgages, and he's here today to talk to us about this. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to spreading the knowledge about crypto mortgages.
A lot of people don't know about crypto loans and crypto mortgages. If you're just getting started with this, what is a crypto loan? What's a crypto mortgages?
Yeah.
What are the differences?
Crypto loan is basically someone is going to take a loan against their crypto. Usually Bitcoin, Ethereum, client will post it as collateral and the lender will lend just against that Bitcoin or the Ethereum. So there's no property involved, they're just lending against the crypto asset. I would say typical terms are you can get like 50% of what you post. So if you post 100,000, the lender will give you 50,000. Every company has some different terms, but that's pretty standard for the market. What we do, which is really unique, and we're really the only company funding them, is a crypto mortgage. So this is against real estate. So we will actually put a lien on the property, and by doing this, we're able to lend 100% of what you post. So in the same example, if you posted 100,000 worth of collateral, we could give you a $100,000 mortgage rather than the 50,000 since we're doing it against real estate.
So it's kind of using a traditional mortgage, but layering on top collateral of the Bitcoin?
Correct. We're able to do up to 100 LTV, so there's really no mortgages, I guess, unless you're like a veteran, you can get a VA loan, but where you can finance 100% of the property. And we're able to do that since the clients are able to post collateral with us.
And before we dive into the crypto mortgage, in a crypto loan, if I have Bitcoin or Ethereum and I post it as collateral, I can use that loan for anything I want. It's like a line of credit?
Exactly. Yeah. It would be a little bit different line of credit because you can't typically draw against it, pay it down.
Okay.
It's typically
it's
like
a one-shot.
A closed-end type of loan.
Okay.
Typically they're 1 year. Crypto mortgages, we do it for a 30-year mortgage too. So the 1 year loan is great for personal expenses. Sometimes people do it for renovation on a property, different things like that. But when you're looking at real estate, it's typically not a 1 year transaction. Usually, people live in a home for 5 to 7 years. A 1 year loan is challenging to pair up with the real estate because you're going to have to keep renewing it. Rates change. A lot of different challenges. But also, with the mortgage, we're able to do half the collateral, which I think is really important. Clients want to keep as much collateral as they can, on their side, not your keys, not your coins. You're going to hear that a lot from crypto clients. So the ability to keep as much collateral as they can, in their own wallets is huge for the mortgage program.
Some people would say that if I post collateral with the Bitcoin and you have the collateral of the mortgage, it's like you have too much collateral, but really you're solving a huge issue for crypto owners, which is providing liquidity and the crypto doesn't get liquidated. Can you talk about some of those features?
Yeah, I definitely get that question a lot. Hey, we have the house and the collateral. The truth is though, we are putting also our own dollars into the transaction, right? On $1 million purchase, the client will post $1 million of Bitcoin as collateral, and Milo will put $1 million of cash, right? Because the seller's getting dollars. The seller doesn't want Bitcoin, they want dollars. So we're both putting $1 million in the transaction. Obviously the house is there as well, but we think to do a 100 LTV loan, it makes a lot of sense for these clients. And as you mentioned, a big problem with clients with Bitcoin and cryptos is that they don't want to liquidate. There's a lot of disadvantages to them. One is just taxes. A lot of these clients have had Bitcoin for 10 years, and the capital gains taxes off of selling $1 million worth of Bitcoin is, it's nasty. You have to sell, $1.4 million of Bitcoin
right.
to buy a $1 million house because you're going to have to pay $300,000 to $400,000, whatever it is, depending on the state, in capital gains taxes. So that's a big aspect. But the other aspect is just they don't want to sell it. They have gotten a lot of wealth from Bitcoin. They've watched it appreciate over the years. They've held on to it when it goes all the way up to $70,000 and then it crashes down to $15,000.
Right.
They still didn't sell it. So they're in it for the long run, and I think they have a lot of their wealth is tied to it. So a lot of clients are more attached to the Bitcoin than they are to real estate. So what we do is offer them a solution to buy real estate without needing to sell their Bitcoin. Because in the end, Bitcoin's appreciated by 60% per year, roughly, for the last 10 years. It's appreciated more than real estate has. So, these clients, they believe in it. They think it's going to keep appreciating. So the thought of losing out on that upside makes it really challenging for them to sell Bitcoin to buy real estate.
Is it your experience that as the price of Bitcoin has gone up over the last 4 or 5 months, that there's a new interest or a rekindled interest in some of these crypto holders diversifying into real estate?
Definitely. I think, our goal with our product is to give clients not need to worry about the price. Because in the end, they're posting it as collateral, and if it goes down or up, it doesn't matter because they're not selling it. They don't have to time the market perfectly to sell their Bitcoin. Because we get that a lot. Clients are like, I want to buy if Bitcoin, once Bitcoin hits 200, I'm definitely going to buy that house.
Yeah.
And it's like, you could be waiting for a long time, and when Bitcoin hits 200, maybe you're like, maybe when it hits 400, I'm going to buy that house.
Right.
So what our product does is, it doesn't matter, right? Like, you're just posting as collateral. If Bitcoin hits 200, that's your Bitcoin. If Bitcoin hits 400, you still get all that appreciation. So it allows you to have to take that out. I will say some clients that are buying, though, as it's going up, maybe they are more likely to want to sell. Maybe some, especially if they have really large portfolios where, they're using a fraction of what they have to buy the home.
Right.
Maybe they're more inclined to diversify a little bit, take some off the table. But in the end, it's still the same concept with the taxes and the future appreciation that they have to battle with,
How do clients pay for the monthly mortgage? Like, do you qualify their income as well, or do they use part of their Bitcoin holdings if they don't have a lot of income?
Yeah.
Because there's many crypto holders with little income. They're living off the crypto. Do they pay with that?
Yeah, so the payments are in dollars right now. We're a regulated mortgage company. I'm a licensed loan officer. So we are doing some things that are kind of like traditional financing.
Right.
We'll order an appraisal on the property. We work with the title company. You could go through the whole transaction really without the seller knowing that you're using, a Bitcoin-backed mortgage. And sorry, just repeat the first part of the question.
So how do they pay for the monthly payments?
Yep, so it's
income?
Right now it's in dollars, but we do find that a lot of our clients, as you mentioned, have a lot more assets than income. So, we find clients that have, maybe $1 million, $2 million, $3 million in Bitcoin, but if you look at their tax returns, it's not going to match up to the assets.
Right.
So they would not qualify for traditional financing, even if they didn't have Bitcoin. But they have the assets, and some of them either do liquidate some assets to make their mortgage payment. They're just able to do it slowly rather than a big chunk up front to buy the house cash. So that's definitely a thing. But other clients, they have ways of earning income. They have jobs. They are still able to make the payments.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions you hear about crypto and real estate transactions, and specifically crypto mortgages?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think sometimes people think it's crazy what you're doing. Right? You're giving loans to clients with crypto, or you're giving 100 LTV mortgage. That's crazy that you guys are doing that. But when you work backwards into it, we feel they're really safe loans. These clients have a lot of assets. Typically, they have really great credit scores. They're just not welcomed in the traditional kind of financing rules right now. But they're really qualified clients that we've had no defaults on any of our crypto mortgages. They're very savvy clients. They made a great investment several years ago and have held on to it, and they really understand financial markets. They're just underserved when it comes to getting financing.
Now, real estate agents also have a lot of misconceptions, and in my experience, one of those misconceptions begins in the mind of the seller. They say, well, we can't do crypto transactions because sellers don't accept them. Can you walk us through that myth?
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, that's what Milo is solving in the end, right? Because a lot of clients that have Bitcoin, it's like, if they want to buy a house, if the conception is the seller just has to accept Bitcoin. The truth is, a lot of the clients, they don't even want to give the seller their Bitcoin. They want to keep their Bitcoin. But what we do is we give the mortgage. We're the middleman. We give cash to the transaction so that the seller gets dollars, and the client can hold on to their Bitcoin. So if a seller thinks, I don't want to work with people that have Bitcoin, that wouldn't make sense, because they're going to have the same exact transaction that anyone else would. They're getting dollars in the end, and they don't need to get Bitcoin, even though maybe they should want to get it.
Right, I agree with you. And I think for title companies, the closing is really a normal closing. However, I'd love your perspective on, how partnering with companies like FOLIO that are crypto versed and crypto forward, with underwriters that are supporting this, how does that enhance the experience and help the transaction?
I do think it just really helps the client to feel safe, to know that everyone understands their situation. Because I will say sometimes people are skeptical. They're like, are you really going to pull this off? Am I really going to be able to buy this house without selling my Bitcoin? What's going to go wrong? So, having everyone in the transaction on board so that the client feels comfortable that no, it's not like just one person saying this and like something else is going to go wrong over here.
Yeah.
You know, everyone is aligned that like, no, we know you have Bitcoin, we know what you're doing, and we're all on board with getting this done. I think that's a big
yeah,
piece
they
of
give
it.
you the side eye, like if you're trying to scam them, but it's really
100%.
because they don't understand. So having partners in the transaction that truly understand the language and can simplify it and walk you through will inspire a lot more confidence.
Definitely, I think that's really important for title and and from the real estate agents as well. You know, because a lot of times we we get clients that have crypto, they find us online, but their real estate agent maybe isn't like crypto-versed. You know, the real estate agent kind of got lucky, they have this client, and the real estate agent will be skeptical sometimes too, like, hey, I see like Bitcoin, you know, what are you guys doing? Are you sure you can do it? So I think
I want my commission in cash.
yeah, I've definitely got that question a bunch of times. So, you know, I think just having everyone on board makes, because if anyone in the transaction kind of feels uneasy, then the client can feel it, you know, and you want them to be confident and go through the transaction and know they're going to close.
So how do you see the role of crypto evolving in U.S. real estate in the next couple of years? I mean, there seems to be this sense that, you know, the price of crypto is up compared to a couple months ago. There seems to be some movement on the regulatory front. Where do you see crypto going in real estate in the next few years? Yeah,
I mean, I think it's going to continue to be more and more a part of real estate, 100%. I don't know how quickly it's going to move. You know, traditionally, like mortgage, real estate, you know, even title, they're not the quickest moving industries. So, you know, there's a lot of regulation, a lot of laws that need to be followed. So, you know, I think those will move slower than what like the market wants. You know, there's companies like Milo and FOLIO that are innovating and trying to stay ahead and push this as forward as we can. But, you know, I do think if you look back maybe 10 years, it's going to not be crazy that people are posting Bitcoin as collateral. It's going to be very normal that a client has Bitcoin when they're purchasing a home, you know, especially as millennials and you know, younger age groups start to become more home buyers. Like, it's just going to keep evolving and being more and more. So, you know, I think being at the forefront of it now is really important because the market, you know, in my opinion, is just going to continue to grow and grow.
Many of our clients that are watching today are from international markets in South America, in Asia, in Europe. They want to invest in the United States and they have crypto. How has your experience been working with international clients?
Yeah, so ironically, Milo actually started as a company that focused on foreign nationals and international clients. So we are a venture-backed startup. We raise money in order to help international clients finance properties in the US. You know, our CEO, he worked in wealth management and he had a bunch of clients from Latin America that they had a lot of assets. They just couldn't finance the properties they wanted to buy in the US. So he started Milo with the intention of saying, hey, look, these clients are qualified. They have a lot of assets. Like, let's help them get mortgages in the US. You know, they shouldn't have to buy every property cash. And we focused on that for several years, but then the consumer with crypto was kind of the same consumer. You know, they have a lot of assets, they're qualified, just the traditional mortgage market does not work for them. So we have pivoted and really focus on clients with crypto. But since we have such deep roots with foreign nationals, we are happy to help clients with foreign nationals get financing in the US. And it is a big part that they have a different pain point that people in the US don't have, which is like transferring money.
Yes.
You know, so like people in the US...
Securely, transferring money securely.
Exactly. Like people in the US, it's like, okay, if you sell your Bitcoin, then you just put it in your US bank account and you're fine. You know, these clients in some cases are actually using blockchain and those rails to get money into the US, you know, in order to buy properties. So that's a unique pain point that we are helping clients with. If we want to be any client that has Bitcoin or crypto and they want to buy a property in the US, you know, we have solutions for them, and you know, we're learning more and more about their pain points, and you know, helping them finance properties is also really important to us.
Rapid fire, in one word, crypto-backed mortgages are?
Game-changing.
The biggest myth about crypto and real estate is?
You can't do it.
The type of client most excited about crypto mortgages is?
The client with crypto.
And in 5 years, crypto and real estate will be?
Normal.
Awesome.
Ish. Yeah.
Well, look, you guys are pioneers in what you're doing. I really admire your work. We've had a great relationship helping clients trying to close these
100%.
transactions as FOLIO becomes a leader in title and crypto-backed transactions. So I really appreciate your partnership, and I look forward to continuing helping our clients with their crypto transactions.
Thank you for having me. It's been great working with you.
All right, man. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.